Well, good evening and welcome to the launch party for the Health and Wealth Summit. Yay! So Deb and I are really excited. We hosted our first 3-day online summit back in December and it was an absolute blast, wasn't it, Deb?
It was. It was.
So we thought that was fun, let's do it again. One of the things that we enjoy doing when we're putting something like this together is thinking of and bumping into and connecting with people who we think are going to be fabulous speakers. And 3 of them have already give us a wave. Ian, Sam, Dean. Yeah, 3 of them. The boys are all here. I don't know what happened to the girl speakers. But there we are.
Washing their hair, probably ready.
Oh, probably.
Oh, I mean, come on, yeah, Sam.
Managed to do his hair. So what you'll probably be able to tell straight off the bat, if you haven't met us before, is that we like to have fun. We're very light-hearted, and we share something that is profoundly helpful and has changed our lives. And I think all of the speakers will share similar sentiments when they share. So this evening we're just going to kind of introduce what it is we're going to be up to over the 3 days, and we'll do that both. We'll share some practical stuff as well as Deb's going to introduce kind of the basis of what it is we share. If you haven't met us or this conversation before, Deb's going to kind of introduce some of that as well, so you've got a bit of a feel of what on earth you've signed up for if you don't know. And if you do know, it's always nice to be reminded, why are we here, what's happening, and what's the purpose of getting together in this kind of way. So just before we dive into some of that, we thought it would be quite fun to just see how far reaching we are. We've had about 180 people sign up for the summit. I'm not sure all 180 are going to show up on one call, but that would be fun. But what we thought it would be really fun to just start with is if you want to open your chat box and let us know where you've joined us from tonight, where in the country or the world are you, and just see how far we've reached. So if you can find your chat box and let us know who's here and where you've joined us from.
The Birmingham,
Birmingham.
Wales,
Yeah, that's our
Liverpool,
original stomping ground.
UK.
Wales, Liverpool, Northwest.
Oh, Katie, we have one of our lady speakers joining us.
Hey, Katie. Newcastle.
Did I see? Are you in Turkey, Katie?
Yes. Wonderful, thanks, Katie. North Devon, Donna, and Miami, Florida. Woo! So we have gone quite. Oh, USA, Chicago, Illinois. Thank you, Laura. Nice. Oh, cool. So we have got all sorts of exciting destinations and hopefully some exciting accents to go with it. I'm partial to Sudbury. Oh yeah, Sudbury. Thanks, Dean. Lovely. So it's nice, and I know some of you will know the way that I'm Deb's executive PA, and one of my favorite things about my job is I get to make up a spreadsheet for anything that I like. I'm partial to a good spreadsheet. So when we come to do things like this, I'm like, oh, spreadsheet, and I start typing in the names of everybody that signs up. And some of the names I'm familiar with, they're people I've met before, and I'm like, oh, they're coming in from such and such a place. So it's quite fun to then see some of you putting where you're from in the chat and to see where we're all coming in from. If you don't know, Deb and I are also in North Devon with Donna. That's where we live. So Deb, I think on that basis, I will hand over to you to tell us a little bit more about why are we even doing the summit? What's it about? What are we going to talk about? So all yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Beck. And thank you so much, everyone who is here this evening, for whatever brought you here. It's amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. So the summit was actually an inspired idea. And as Beck said, we run a business together. We call it playing at offices. That's what Beck and I do. We play offices. It's just such fun. You know, she loves a good spreadsheet. I just love to pretend, you know, I've got my little office and my pens and my notebook, and it just feels kind of cool. It's really good. And genuinely, a lot of what we do is about having fun and enjoying ourselves, because we can really see the benefit to doing that, the absolute benefit to doing that. And the summits that we are doing here were born off the back of our conference. And we run a conference every year in North Devon. There are some people here who have been to the conference. Give us a wave if you've been in the room at the conference. It is out the park amazing, our conference, because my very, very favourite thing is to be physically in a room with people. I am extremely grateful that we have Zoom. I would hate to be without the internet and Zoom. I'm extremely grateful for how we can connect. And, you know, as you all shared where you were, it is just amazing that we can do that. But my very, very favourite thing is to be in a room with people. And I had this inspired idea to start to run a conference, and I had so much love and support from all sorts of people in the Three Principles community who it blew my mind, the people that offered me support, offered me love, offered me guidance with what I was doing, because I had absolutely no clue. And the conference has grown over the years into something incredibly special. And I can see the places where my fear has got in the way of that growth. My self-doubt and my fear has got in the way of that growth. And I was thinking about ways. The thing that I love to do is, and this is what I call it, and please, you know, if you don't like the words I use, just find another word. Don't worry about it. It's nothing, it's not important. But I really like having time to speak to God, to speaking. And I was speaking to God about, you know, I was like, I can see my fear has really got in the way of this conference, of people knowing about it and it growing. And yet it's an incredibly special thing. It's incredibly special when you're in that room. And the next thing God said to me, well, why don't you do summits, online summits? And this was in probably towards the end of November last year. Within 2 weeks, Beck and I, it literally came together absolutely effortlessly. It was a beautiful, a real, you could really see how the principles, how when we listen to our nudges, listen to our intuition, follow these things and do these things, what amazing things can happen. And we pulled together this online summit. We had some incredible speakers, we had beautiful feedback, and we had great fun, which is the most important thing. And it was like, it became obvious that we could, so the conference is in March, and then spread out during the year, we can do one of these in June, in September and December, and the conference in March. And this whole thing can be, it's all like in the same family. It's all pointing us to the same thing. It's all about how can we be of service and assistance to help people, and to help ourselves. And because trust me, you know, this isn't about, oh, we know everything, we've got it all, we've got our lives, every one of our ducks is in a row, and all of this. Absolutely not. This is about how can we create a really beautiful space to continue exploring the depths of what every one of us that are here on this screen, watching this record, whatever, have been blessed to stumble across. You know, how can we create a really beautiful space that allows us to explore that and go deeper with that? And so doing the online, so if this is your first online summit, there will be others. We will have, we've got an amazing array of speakers this time. It blows my mind every time I reach out to these people and they're so absolutely yes, you know, where can I, what do I have to do? What time do I have to be where? What do I have to show up to? What do I have to say? You know, what do I do? The people in this community are so giving, so giving. And it's such a beautiful, again, it's such great fun connecting with people, speaking to people, hearing their stories, hearing what is possible. So that's a tiny little bit about, you know, how we ended up here. And I would really, really love to invite you, and at any time, you don't have to plonk it in straight away, but if you could get something that would really make a difference to you out of these 3 days, what might that be? And I'm going to invite you to share it in the chat if something comes, but equally just sit with that for yourself. Because one of the things that I have really noticed in the way that I play in this arena, and everything this whole 3 days is going to be an invitation for you to be open to play, be open to possibility, be open to hearing something more deeply, hearing something that hadn't occurred to you that way before. And one of the ways that we become open is by being playful and asking. And I know, like, asking questions of mind, God, whatever, if we ask these questions, it blows my mind how we get answered. Like when I just said, "Oh, right, okay, I can see my fears got in the way. What would you do to get word out about this conference a little bit more?" And literally, so it wasn't even that long, and it just came. It's literally like, oh my gosh, we're going to do some online summits. We're going to do that. It'll be brilliant. It'll be amazing. We can ask this person. We can talk to this person. We can do this. And it was, you can feel when we are following insight, when we are open, when we are loving in that way, when we open something, it's amazing what can come in when we do that. So if you have got something, you can share it. That would be absolutely brilliant. If you don't want to share it in the chat, or you know there's nothing coming for you, I would really, really invite you to ask these questions, to ask these sorts of open questions, because to me that's what mind is. Mind is, how can we expand together? How can we all see more together? How can we open this even further to, you know, to include more of us, to share more? How do we do that? And when we ask these questions, what would be incredible if I was here in these 3 days? What would be incredible for me to see, to hear, to open to a little bit more? What would be incredible there? So we have got some people coming through. A deeper seeing of the connection between thought and health, wealth. I like that, Beck. Love it, love it. Oakling, creating more confidence for myself in my life. Katrina, I'd like to understand what I actually want. Beautiful, beautiful questions. I love it. And this is, yeah, I love the opening up of it, because as I said, this is an invitation to open to more deeply to joy and love and fun. So for me, the purpose of the conference, the purpose of these calls, the purpose of getting together to laugh, to smile, to have fun, to love each other, to come together to create in this way, the purpose behind it is to lift ourselves up jointly, to each one of us to lift up to a higher state of consciousness, because as we lift ourselves and as we lift each other, as we come together and rise upwards in that way, it stirs something in us. When we have shifts in consciousness like this, something gets stirred in us. And when we stir the highest that we have inside us, which is, that always happens when we go upwards. When we think of ideas, an idea, you know, it's a light bulb, it's everything about the word idea is this. Light, upwards, glorification, goodness, like just, you know, it's nature, its very nature is rising, is lifting. And so when we come together in this way to rise up together, to share ideas, to interact together, to laugh together, to have fun together, to have some time of joy together, when we stir the highest in each other, our inner confidence, our inner knowing, and our inner confidence in our own abilities and in our own character, in who we are, get awakened in those moments. We begin to see things in ourselves that maybe from those lower states of consciousness we hadn't seen before. We see possibilities. And I know one of the things that can happen, like when we go to a conference or when we come to these kinds of things, we can feel really, really good in the moment. Our mind can quieten down. We can raise up somewhere, we can hear something. And then we can have this thing when we go away where that disappears. And one of the things that I am really, really super, super interested in is shifts in consciousness that are paradigm shifts that enable us to not go back to where we were. And certainly not to go back there to live. You know, there's no state of consciousness, there's no thought, there's no feeling that we're not all going to always visit. But I don't know about you, but I have like almost like states of consciousness, rooms, whatever you want to call it, that I kind of live in. And, you know, you maybe go this way, this is pretty much where I live. I go here a bit and then I go here a bit. And to me, that feels like the paradigm that we live in, the eyes through which we view the world, the eyes, you know, are what everything is filtered through. And it's really, really good to open ourselves up to see something, and to see something so beautifully and so deeply and know it so truly for ourselves, that level of consciousness, that higher place, becomes our home. And even though, you know, as human beings, we will go all over the place, and this isn't about eliminating fear or doing any, you know, or we can't ever think like this and we can't ever think that, but it is very much to me just about, yeah, this is home. This is what feels real to me. This is what feels comfortable to me. This is who I am. And when we stir the highest within ourselves, what is stirring, what is awakened, what we begin to see is a truth of who we are. I think somebody said in the comments, didn't they? They would really like to know what was the exact words. I'd like to understand what I actually want. What I see around that is, even in those moments when I don't know what I want, what I do know is I know how I want to feel. It is rare that I don't know how I want to feel. Even if I can't put it into words what it is I want, I know how I want to feel. And that is a great starting point, knowing how we want to feel. If we know how we want to feel and we head in that direction, what we want will start to make sense. It will be our feeling states, these places where we live. What is on the outside reflects the place where we live the most. Our outside, what we have in physical outside in the world, is a reflection of the place that we live the most. And so if we know how we want to feel, if we move towards a feeling state, that kind of feeling state, it moves us in the direction of what we want. What we want physically will match that feeling as we find it. And we all have the capacity to move within ourselves, to move inside ourselves. I'm a sucker for the Bible. I love Bible stories. I love this. I love everything about the Bible, really. I mean, there's a whole ton of it in there that just I have no idea what it's talking about. But it just, even reading the words when they don't know, when you don't know what they mean, for me anyway, that it just feels beautiful. Just reading the words, there is something amazingly poetic about doing that. And even when I have no idea what they're talking about. But time and time again, when I read some of the words or I pick something out and decide to look at it, something reveals itself within those words. And in Genesis, when it speaks at the beginning of the Bible, when it talks about creation, when it talks about how we came into being, who we are, how we came into being, it talks about movement within God, movement within consciousness. You know, mind, consciousness, whatever word you want to use there, it talks about movement within consciousness. And it occurred to me when I was reading that that is what we have the ability to do as human beings. And one of the things that I love, love, love to do is play, as you probably, always, there's always an invitation to play, always, and find out for yourself. Never take my word for anything I say. Have a go, play. What is revealed to you within you will be the most precious things that you will ever learn or know. So it occurred to me when I was reading about creation in Genesis, I'm fascinated by the possibility, what it is possible for us to create as human beings. You can probably see, you can see out of my window here, and I'm living on a piece of land that I bought where we're creating a house, and how the land came into being, all of it it's just crazy creation, and it fascinates me what is possible. And the way that I do this is I play. So I'm fascinated by creation. I'm reading Genesis, I'm reading about creation, and I'm reading about God, a movement within God, a movement within consciousness. And then I'm thinking, well, I move all over the place in my mind. I'm sat here like this, and I'm kind of saying to you, let's have a party. And I'm in the other room dancing. I'm sat here physically, I'm sat here like this, but I've got my sash on, I've got my, whatever, I'm dancing somewhere. I've moved in consciousness. I have moved within me somewhere else. I've moved. And this kind of reading about this and seeing this, and then obviously reading loads of stuff that Sydney Banks shares about consciousness and God and things like this. Like, yeah, we as human beings, all of us, I talked to my friends then, and I said, do you do that kind of thing? Do you sit in one room and, can you go, if you're sat in your lounge, can you go into your bedroom without moving an inch? Do you know your bedroom so well that you can go and walk around your bedroom and you've not moved? And, most people are kind of like, yeah, I can do that. Turns out we can move like that. We can move within ourselves without physically moving. And so to me, this is like a move in consciousness. And I noticed then I can think different things and watch myself. I can recall things that bring me down. I can recall things that lift me up. And it's like, oh, there's a whole ton of moving in my consciousness. I can do that. And the more that I play with that and practice that, I really started to notice that I could get to a point I could purposely do this most of the time. And it's not about control or anything, it's about playing. What's possible for us if we explore and we play? And it's great fun. Turns out you can do all sorts of things with it. Creation is a movement in consciousness. When we move in consciousness in this way, so coming back to that, when Katrina, I think it was, said, I'd really love to know what it is I want. We know how we want to feel, and we can move within our consciousness to a place that feels good. Like, I can sit here and do all sorts of things inside my mind, and I'm sure you guys can too. I don't think I'm on my own in that. We all do that, and we do it all the time. We come on these, we're here like this, and we're not here. We're all over the place. We're in all sorts of places. And what we can do inside our minds like that is such a precious gift. I don't think we realize what an amazing gift we have to be able to do that, to move in consciousness. And playing with it and opening to what is possible when we play in that arena. That's what I'm going to invite you to do over these 3 days. Because when our various amazing speakers begin to share some of their stories, share what's relevant for them, share what they've seen, share whatever it is they share, all of these things will spark things within your mind. I am going to invite you to play in those places, to see what is there, to see what opens up, what possibility opens up for you when you are prepared to play in that way. Because as we move within consciousness, as we play in this way, one of the things, as I said, for me, the whole purpose of putting on a conference, the whole purpose about having summits, I love playing offices and I love this being my job. I love that. That's great. It's fantastic. And I love the idea of actually spreading something out in the world that is really hopeful and really helpful, because I know how much my life changed when I began to look in this direction. And it feels like a real honor to be able to share something that is incredibly hopeful and helpful. So seeing what is possible for us, what we can do, what happens when we come together and raise our levels of consciousness, what happens when we see that we actually have the ability to move anywhere in our mind, and no one can stop you. Like, I can go all over the place and you guys don't even know I'm doing it. I can be anywhere. It's fascinating. Nobody can stop us doing that. They can't. That is something, that is a gift that is yours, that can never ever ever be taken away. And these are the true gifts. What the principles to me pointed me towards and showed me were, there are gifts within me that are my gifts that nobody can take from me. If I stop doing that, I have to be the one that gives that up. If I stop playing in my consciousness, if I stop playing with what's possible, if I stop playing with creation, I am the one that has to stop playing with that. I could be locked in a box this big in the dark. I can still play. We can still do that. We have to be the ones that choose to stop doing that, and what the possibility that that opens up. So that's kind of what's behind it all, really, for me. What's possible? What can come from this? What can happen if we do this, if we follow our nudges, if we follow what goes on, the crazy stuff that goes on in our mind like this? What becomes possible? And it never ceases to amaze me what becomes possible. So, as is really, really typical of Beck and I, we didn't particularly have an agenda for tonight. We just thought it would be really, really nice to come on, to see who was around, to dip our toes in the water. What was that? What have we had? Yes, Stephen Hawking's playing with the universe. This is it. We're here. This whole universe is a toy for us to play with. This is it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And part of this, part of coming on it tonight, as I said, like, we didn't really have a particular agenda for this tonight. We just thought it would be really, really nice. We did this last time and thought, wouldn't it be really nice just to open up the room, to say hi, to invite people in, to get a feel for how crazy I am, and Beck is as well, to be fair. She's probably not quite as crazy as me. I'm probably the craziest, but just to get a feel for, I'm really, really, really excited for life, and excited for what's possible, excited for, no matter what is going on in the world and with each one of us individually, what is possible when we look in this direction. And that is the other thing that is behind this for me. Those of you that maybe know me, just recently I started something on my YouTube channel called The Love Experiment. And it was just something that occurred to me that I really began to see again through looking around. A lot of people, I believe that we have been raised and we have lived in cultures for centuries of fear. We have been, or be careful, mind that, or don't do that, or be careful about that, don't go there, don't do that. And when I ask questions, when I go inside and I ask questions, and it's like, who am I? Who am I? When I ask that question, who am I here to be? I can see from a very young age, I'm one of these people, when someone says, well, be careful of that, I'm like, why? Yeah, but why? Why? What difference would that make? And I can remember having something go on with my health when I was younger, and then the doctors telling me, well, do this and don't do this, and I'm like, why? Like, well, that's what you do when you've got, yeah, but why? Well, because it's yeah, it's what we tell people to do. Yes, but why? And that's me. That's what I'm like, okay, well, what happens if we do that? Why would we do that? Why? And if you have a good reason, and that good reason resonates with who I am and what makes sense with me, then maybe I will. But if it is amazing how many times, even as parents, I have got 3 children and I love my children. And again, the times I've heard myself say things, and then inside my head, it's like, why? I'll say to them sometimes, be careful. Why? Why? Would you not rather they were just reckless and went and did absolutely? I mean, I can remember some of the things I did as a kid, and it's like, I'm really glad nobody stopped me doing those. It's like, why? Because you're afraid. What are you afraid of? You're afraid they might live. And it's like, so many people die before they've even had a chance to live because they're being so flipping careful. It's like, so I know through asking these questions myself and going inside, that's me. That's what I'm here to do, to ask that question. Okay, why? What is there to be afraid of? What is there to be afraid of if I dare to do this, if I explore this way, if I look here, if I do this, if I try this? And as I said, I feel like a lot of us have been raised for centuries in a culture of fear. And I am really incredibly curious and excited by what would be possible if we moved and had our being in love, not fear. What does a world, what does a country, what does a community look like when everybody is in fear? Just look at any country, any community, any they don't work. They keep doing the same things and nothing changes. They throw tons and tons and tons and tons of money at trying to solve problems. That money is not the issue. Fear is the issue. I heard a story of a guy, and he said there was this lady who was an incredibly rich lady, like stupidly rich. And she had this idea that she wanted to stop human trafficking. It was just something, she had a dream and she was really passionate about it, and she wanted to stop human trafficking. And she was stupidly rich. And so she looked into how she could do this, and she contacted a group, various different groups who are dealing with this problem, human trafficking. And she approached them all, and she said, I am more than willing to completely fund you. No matter what your funding is, I'm not even going to ask what your funding is. I'm more than happy to completely fund you. Money is not a problem for me. I can completely fund. I have one stipulation, one thing that I want you to do. And she talked to all these organizations, and I think there were 6. I think the guy said there were 6. They were all trying to do the same thing, stop human trafficking. And they were all non-profit organizations. And I think they might have even been all church-based, but I might be making that bit up. But they were all non-profit. They were all, good people doing this. She said, I want you to work together. And do you know what? Every one of them refused. They wouldn't work together. They wouldn't come together. It was like, oh no, well, we know this and we've got this, and why not? What's at the base of that? Fear? And you see that small scale and big scale everywhere. It's like, we are so seeped in fear that we end up protecting something. I don't even know what. again, you know what? And so I am really, really, really massively curious about what can happen. And for me, definitely the conference, these summits, the work that I do, the invitations to play in your own consciousness is about, where is love for you? And where are you coming from with these things? Who are you? And can you come from love? And I know one of the reasons why we talked about and decided to make the subject here health and wealth is, I know those are two reasons, those are two things that we can get incredibly fearful about as human beings, which was one of the reasons I thought this would be a great subject to look at, to explore together, health and wealth. Because I know one of my biggest fears has been money. Like, well, I can't do that because what if you know, there's not enough. And the whole thing about the build for me is, can I trust? Can I just do this from love and trust? And there are many moments when I just think you are completely and utterly bat something bonkers. But it also has blown my mind how far that has got me. Just keep coming back to love and trust and coming from love and see what happens next. So I'm going to, like, I have a fair few. We have some people. Do you want to wave if you are going to be doing one of them, the speaking during this week, actually, you know, on the stage? Yeah, I would really love any of you guys, if there's anything you have heard in any of that, to just share a little bit. You know, why did you agree to say yes to this crazy woman who asked you to speak at something? Unmute and
I'll go. I don't throw
remember how
myself in.
much we're friends, Sam. Remember how much I love you.
Yeah, it's all good. I promise. No, well, I think back to how we met, Debs, and it's like just well, it felt like a very happen chance coffee chat in Spain, and it's amazing what's happened since then. And there's so many things I've just listened to you sharing that strike me as just they're so active and so alive in my life at the moment. Like even the fact that, you know, I'm here and speaking and doing a lot more stuff in person because most of my work has been online, and I've just kind of put it out, I guess, kind of beamed it out vocally in my heart. Like I just want to be in more rooms. And then over the course of the last few weeks and months, all these opportunities keep coming up, and it's like sprinkled with magic because I'm like, how did that happen? I don't know where that's come from, and it's so just that kind of looking in a direction and just kind of seeing what comes forward is amazing. And just listening to you now, you've given me so many cool ideas for what I kind of want to riff on Thursday. And one massive insight that I've just kind of was something that I knew that I've just seen even more deeply for me around, you know, the things that we're up to in our lives and the kind of we focus on the behavior or whatever it might be, and we pin that down as if that's where the health or the wealth is, but so much of it is the energy. Where's it coming from? And you know, I'll talk about it, I'm sure, on Thursday, but a lot of my life, a lot of the sort of like highly tuned perfectionist health stuff I was up to was really actually quite it had a real cost for me because of the energy that I was approaching it with. So I think being in tune to that is very helpful. So yeah, I'm just excited to be here, excited to meet new people, old friends, new friends, and you know, get to hang out together.
Thank you. That is really, really beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was amazing how we met. And then you came along to North Devon. We met in person in Spain, met in person in North Devon, dragged you onto the stage in North Devon, and you didn't go down too badly.
You asked me here, so it can't have been that bad.
Well, exactly. It was brilliant. It was amazing. No, thank you. And thank you very much for what you are going to bring to the room. It's amazing, beautiful. Anyone else? Katie, you are unmuted. Come on.
I did. I thought, get that mic unmuted. I think for me, like, I mean, first of all, I'm super excited to be here, and I just want to thank you for like asking me to speak at the summit. And off the back of you allowing me to follow a nudge and ask for what I wanted at the conference. And I think that, you know, that there was something deeply, deeply transformational for me in following that nudge. Um and I don't know that I'd ever done it to that level before. And you know, I feel like I've had a whole lifetime of just being very, very afraid of nudges and very afraid of the sound of my own voice and very afraid to make decisions and very afraid to stand out and all of these kinds of things. Um and I know that so much of me is not that afraid person anymore. And yet there is this layer of crap and story and just bullshit that's been layered around that person. And I've been digging myself through all of those layers, um and getting to a place where I I just want to be me. And I think that's what speaking at the conference really allowed me to be, is just to sit on your stage and just be me and be vulnerable and be raw. Um and I think that's one of the things that I just see more and more, like when you were talking about, you know, being here and being in a completely different place, you know. And it's those kinds of things. It's like when I think about, like, you know, like health and wealth, it's one of the great things I've learned that was really helpful for me to learn was, you know, like you've said, like nobody can take that gift away from us, that freedom that we have within ourselves to be wherever we want to be. And one of the things that I saw is that I have that gift within myself to realize that this is a closed system and nobody can get in here and make me do and feel and think anything. And therefore, I am safe because there isn't anything outside of me that can hurt me or make me do anything. And so I think those are things that I've just always over the years just been seeing more and more of. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that. That's the dog itching its ear. It's very much enjoying it.
Agreeing, very much agreeing. Yeah, be more you, Katie, be more you. Perfect.
There is a limitation. So yeah, I'm just excited. I think, you know, I've gone from not being very afraid of my own voice to now not shutting up, to be honest. So so you probably have to rein me in when we jump in on Wednesday. But I'm really looking forward to it, and just, yeah, just sharing and being in conversation with you, and you know, and with the true desire that there's some nuggets that are really helpful for people to hear through that dialogue.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. And I think we all have nudges, and our fear prevents us from following them. And definitely for me, one of the reasons for reaching out to you was you followed that nudge, and I know how scared you were to follow that nudge at that time. And it's like, well, just look what can come from it. I mean, all of this was a nudge for me, you know, to start a conference to do this. And there have been moments of literal terror for me since I did that. But it is like, yeah, just keep following those nudges, because there's also been such exhilaration, such learning, such depth. So thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
think it's also, as well, just really quickly, what I realized, and you know, maybe this is something we'll talk about a bit more on Wednesdays, is that you know, I seem to really think that I have this incredible ability to read minds and know exactly what people are going to think and say and do, when really I don't have any idea. And that's part of the fear for me, is like I made up so many stories about, oh my God, what is Deb's going to think of me? She's going to think this and this and this. And it's like, is that true? It's like when you're saying why, like for me, I'm going through this. Is that true? Is that really true? Like, how true is that? that. So yeah, there's a lot of that noise, and beneath that noise is just magic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Totally. Could not agree more. Beneath all of that noise, and the noise is all fear-based, isn't it? And this is it. We've been so programmed with this fear to actually just be invited to play with love. What would love do here? Let's play. Let's see. It's such a gorgeous invitation. Thank you. Ian, I feel like you were about to put your hand up and then.
Yeah, no, I got myself unmuted. That seemed to
Oh,
grab your attention.
absolutely.
Also, absolutely thrilled to be here. I've feels like I've been waiting a very long time to get on the stage, so to speak, and to tell some of my story. And we'll see what comes out of that on Thursday. But as you were talking, you said something that really took me back. You said I could be locked in a box and still be able to play. And it was so, for me, reminiscent actually of being in a coma, very different sort of box, but very much felt as though I was imprisoned in this coma, asleep, when I was ill 8 years ago. And yet it turns out that was the richest playground of my life. It was the playground where I got to do some incredibly crazy things and, have some profound insights and experiences that I would never in my wildest dreams have, imagined it. Nobody in their right mind would say, give me sepsis and put me in a coma, please. But that's what the universe kind of did. I'd had lots of opportunities to listen and being stubborn, and I just hadn't done so. So the universe is like, that's okay. We'll put you in a coma and you're going to see some things. So I love that, what you were pointing to, that, no matter what the circumstances are, it doesn't stop us playing. And the other thing I was listening to, I've got a new app I've been playing with called Luminate that sort of flashes lights at you and gives you all sorts of crazy experiences. And at the end of it, I'm just been playing with this for 15 minutes. The following quote pops up. Creativity is born from the richness of being alive. And I thought that kind of just nailed it, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And definitely this is everything we're pointing to here, because creativity, absolutely, it is so rich and so beautiful. And so many of us never come alive during our life. We don't. And I guess for me, that is the whole invitation. If you weren't afraid, how would you come alive? And then see, creativity, the amazing things that will be born from that. So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Dean.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Well, just quickly coming back to what Katie was saying, what would it even matter if what you were thinking about the other person was true? What would it actually matter? Even if it is true, it doesn't have to affect us in the way that we perhaps used to think that it would. It just doesn't matter. I mean, it's the one thing I always say about most people who haven't come across this understanding get caught up in the thinking, and we've all probably done this at some point in our lives, get caught up in the thinking that they're worried about what other people think about them. And I always say, well, there's two things about that. Number one, you can't really know exactly what other people are thinking. And number two, it doesn't really matter anyway. It's up to them what they think. It's they can think whatever they want. It doesn't have to affect us or harm us in any way. Even if it's verbalized, it still doesn't, depending on the state of mind we're in, whether we'll be affected or not. But anyway, coming back, why did I turn up? Well, you said two things that made me think I should go. One, you said party. That's always a good indicator. Let's go. It's a party.
We're always partying, Dean.
And the other thing was our connection. It became very obvious when we met in Viva. Well, we didn't meet. We re-met in Viva last year, as you quite clearly pointed out. how deep the connection ran. And then we realized when the conference happened that we were actually family.
Dean is Beck's new adopted uncle and my new brother.
And what a joy that is.
Mm.
And I think one of the other things that I was thinking when you were speaking was, oh my God, how much you would have loved Roger Mills and how much he would have loved you too. How deeply you would have connected. Because you couldn't be in a room with Roger without him laughing on a regular basis. That was just him. There was no way that anything Roger did was ever going to get very serious. There's no way. It just never did. It was always a joy to be in a room with him. I remember years ago, my brother's ex-girlfriend said to me, she said, why do you go to everything Roger does? Because Roger was coming over to the UK for about a year. And she said, doesn't he just say the same thing every time? And I said, well, he might be saying the same thing every time, but I don't hear the same thing every time, because every time I'm going, and I think that everyone will have probably had this experience to some degree. When you go and when you listen to people speak, you're hearing at a new level of consciousness.
Mm.
And when we hear at a new level of consciousness, we hear something new. And that's just magic. Really magic. And I love what you said about being in a certain place, because Sid made that very clear. He said, you can't fall back. If you've had insight, you can't ever go back. You can't fall back into, you can lose your way temporarily in your thinking, but you cannot possibly go back to a former state of consciousness when you've seen anything. You know, when you've had any insight. He said, just focus on the insight you've had. It's enough. It's enough. One insight is enough to change a person's life completely. Just one insight about the true nature of life, about the true nature of reality, and how we continuously create our reality in the living moment. We always have a choice. We always have a choice. We don't always think we have a choice, but that's the problem. That's the problem with the thing about thought. Is the thing that I often say is that we're either seeing that thought creates reality, and when we see that thought creates reality, there's no longer a problem. Thought's not a problem. But then the trap that we can fall into is the same trap that I've seen over the years, is that we start thinking, well, I know thought creates reality, but that's a really big trap. Sorry?
As soon as you said but.
Yeah, as soon as you add but in there, you're in trouble.
Mm.
Because then you think you know thought creates reality, but you really don't. You've forgotten. You've just temporarily forgotten. So you cannot, you're right, you cannot, you have an insight, you see something, your life changes, and then you sort of oscillate between, your new state of being, and there are unlimited levels. So you just can't ever fall back. You go to a certain level and then you just keep ascending.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you can do is use your mind again to fall back into old patterns of thinking, old worries, old fears. But and again, I love what you said at the beginning about asking questions. I always do the same. I'm always asking questions. I haven't got a clue. I go, okay, universe, I have not got a clue what I'm doing here, but I know you do. So can you give me some clues? Give me some clues. And sure enough, clues will come.
Indeed.
They won't always come straight away. Sometimes they do. But they will always, always, always come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think the more that you see that, the more it happens.
The more you see, the more you see, the more you see, the more you see. And this is about, all of this is just about an opportunity to see. Come and sit with us and see.
Yeah.
And nobody is better than anyone else in that sense. It's just we're all here seeing. And how can we possibly know what someone else has seen and if that's different to what we've seen? We can't really, can we? It's just not possible. And I think in all of the conversations, we always hear something that resonates with us, and it is, how much do we listen to that whatever it is, you know, I'm not good enough, oh, they're better than me, so what, you know, the details of what it is. I've really started to notice the feeling, and it is either a loving feeling or a feeling, a fear-based feeling. I'm really seeing those, and it's like, yeah. So, thank you, all our lovely people who contributed. Thank you for all the wonderful people here listening. I believe Beck has probably got some practical things to share, and or, you know, are there any practicalities, or do we just
Of course there are, Deb. Why else would you have me as your executive PA? So yeah, I just thought a couple of little notes that hopefully will make sense and hopefully are in all the emails that you're getting. As what happened tonight, with every one of the calls over the next 3 days, you'll get the Zoom link an hour before the call. It is the same Zoom link as what we're on tonight anyway, so as long as you can access that, that's all good. If you haven't seen the schedule yet, it is, I have sent it out, but each day I will send out an email with the next day's schedule. But on the across the 3 days, all 3 days, there'll be a call at 10 a.m, a call at 2 p.m, and a call at 7 p.m. UK time. And so I will share with you who we've got. We've got, starting us off tomorrow morning, is the amazing Hannah Studley. And then tomorrow afternoon is Dr. Rani Bora. And then tomorrow evening is, who's that? Deborah Simmons? I'm not sure who she is. Hopefully she'll show up.
have the evening off, just
yeah.
go play.
And then the wonderful Katie Foster will kick us off on Wednesday morning, followed by the equally wonderful Dorothy Martin. And then finishing off on Wednesday evening is the fabulous Dean. And then Thursday, Sam's going to kick us off. And then it'll be Lucy Sheffield. I call her Lou because she's my sister. She has a full name. Lucy Sheffield will be with us on Thursday afternoon. And then Ian will wrap it up, no doubt, wonderfully on Thursday evening.
No pressure, Ian. Worry about that for the next few days.
Yeah, definitely. It's quite a nice slot, the last one, I always think, because then you get to kind of bring it all together. So it's, and well, certainly from my point of view, I think it's an amazing schedule and I'm very excited. And two of the practical things I wanted to just share is replays. So everything will be recorded over the 3 days. And on Friday, I will send out all of the replay links, including contact details and any particular offers that the speakers have made, so you can connect directly with them if you want to. Those replays are available for free for a week, and after that we'll send out details if you do want lifetime access, how you can get hold of that. And most importantly, I think, is just to remind you that all of this is in keeping with and fitting with our in-person conference, which is the most amazing event. Nod if you've been and you agree. Yes. So throughout these 3 days, we will be mentioning the conference. It's happening 4th to the 6th of March 2026. So loads of time to get your ticket, but you know, get it now, because why wouldn't you? And we'll be mentioning that, and there'll be details of how to get those tickets in the emails that I'll be sending out. So look out for that, because trust me, you'll want to be there. It's amazing. That's all the practical bits from me. But if over the 3 days, if anything occurs to you or you need to ask anything, our inbox is always open, and I'm quite happy to pop emails back to people if you have questions. I think I remember everything, but I always forget at least one thing. So what's your catchphrase at the conference, Deb? If you need to know anything, ask Beck.
Yeah, she is the best executive PA on the planet. She is blooming brilliant. So yeah, if there's any problems, yeah, and we love emails, we love, I mean, you know, we never shut up. We love talking to people, we love emailing people, we get excited, we like having fun. So, you know, just play with us, it's great fun. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed a taste of what is to come over this week. And as we said, it is very much about the joy and the fun, but equally there is something truly amazing behind this, and that is what is so cool about this too. There is something truly transformational here for each one of us. And, you know, our flavour of transformation, your flavour of transformation is your own. So this really is an invitation to be you, to hear what resonates with you, and to just have some fun. So thank you all so much for being here this evening, and I look forward to seeing you during the week. Tons and tons and tons of love.